that point, and I was like, there's something here. Started doing a little bit of research, digging into it, and I was always into computers, loved technology, loved being on the cutting edge. So I saw this as an opportunity. I was because never been really fond of the government. I knew money was a big thing and it kind of controlled a lot of aspects of our everyday life. And then it kind of hit me and it was like, wow, this is a game changer. Nobody's really thinking about the long term. We wanted to take a legacy business and build it on a Bitcoin standard, something that's going to withstand generations. I want to be able to build something that I can pass down to my daughter, that my daughter can pass down and just continue to build.
All right. Welcome, Shane, to the Bitcoin broadcast. How are you doing, man?
Doing amazing, living the dream as always. Just getting home from the fiat mines, so it's nice to get back into the passion of Bitcoin.
There you go. What exactly do you do, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I work in an auto collision repair facility, so body shop. I've been in the industry for about 17 years. Started off at pretty much the bottom, washing cars, and moved my way up to running facilities. We run about $6 million operation roughly per year. Pretty big facility. We're a massive company, billion-dollar company, getting ready to go IPO next year sometime. But it's a grind, and trying to escape that grind.
Yeah, I hear you. Why don't you talk about your Bitcoin background a little bit, just how you found Bitcoin, how you've incorporated it into your life so far?
Yeah, for sure. Found out about Bitcoin. It's been a minute. First heard about it in like 2014, 2015, and put it off. I was young, out having fun, just blowing money. So didn't really look into it. Up until about 2017 when things kind of popped off and the market went crazy and went from like $1,000 to 17,000 and caught my interest at that point and I was like, there's something here. Started doing a little bit of research, digging into it, and found out that there's this money that you're able to almost make with a computer. I was always into computers, love technology, love being on the cutting edge. So I saw this as an opportunity. I was curious because never been really fond of the government and never really trusted, things that were coming down, getting passed, and these laws, and wasn't really a big fan. I saw this opportunity. It's like I knew money was a big thing, and it kind of controlled a lot of aspects of our everyday life. And I was like, all right, if there's a money that I can possibly go out and create on my own, there's got to be something to this. So at that point, I was kind of hooked. It resonated with a lot of the beliefs I had already, and it kind of just it was something that I was searching for that I didn't know what I was looking for, and then it kind of hit me, and it was like, wow, this is a game changer. It lines up with my beliefs. It encourages me to do things I love, and just rolled with it. And then after just a couple years of reading, watching any content possible, pandemic came along, and then I was got laid off from the job and moved down to Mexico City with my wife and my family and had nothing but time, so I just dove in. I was all in. The rabbit hole got me, and ever since then, it was just I couldn't really uh, function without Bitcoin. Almost, it's like everything I'm talking about has some connection to Bitcoin. Every aspect of my life, I'm just sharing the word, talking to people, and it just has taken over a huge portion of my life, and it kind of made me almost a better person per se. Bitcoin ethos is just it's an incredible way to live. Technology was built on this awesome foundation, and just trying to replicate some of that stuff in my day-to-day life.
That's awesome. I hear you. When you get orange pilled, you just want to tell everyone. It's like a it's like this weird bug that bites you that you just have to you get this itch and you just have to talk about it to everyone that you
Yep,
can.
yep.
It's funny how it works because almost everyone is like the exact same way. It's awesome. So you did mention though that you're trying to kind of revive. You told me a little bit before we started recording that you're trying to revive a little bit of this timber business. Do you want to talk about that and how you've incorporated Bitcoin into a business like that? Because we are seeing a couple businesses, not just treasury companies, but there's sports teams. If you have listened or know of Peter McCormack doing his soccer team
Hmm.
has incorporated Bitcoin. There's bars like PubKey has incorporated Bitcoin. There's other people out there, entrepreneurs that are starting businesses, and they're just incorporating Bitcoin into it now. So, did you want to talk about that business and how you're going about incorporating that?
Yeah, for sure. So we kind of looked at it as we have this opportunity. It's a legacy business. How can we take this traditional business and build it on a standard that's going to last for generations? I had a feeling like a lot of these businesses, people are spinning up businesses to exit. So nothing is, it's kind of this whole time preference thing. Everybody's looking to build a business, exit, get the cash, and move on. So nobody's really thinking about the long term of these businesses outside of just spinning them up. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take a legacy business and build it on a Bitcoin standard, something that's going to withstand generations. I want to be able to build something that I can pass down to my daughter, that my daughter can pass down and just continue to build. I want to be able to give her something aside from, a little bit of Bitcoin, something that she can, maybe eventually grow to love and become part of it and continue doing it. But it was that, and we just, I saw how Bitcoin changed my life, and I was like, if Bitcoin can do this to my life, why can't it do this to a traditional legacy business if we just build it using the ethos of Bitcoin? So that's kind of where it started. So Bitcoin plays like three major roles in our system. It monetizes the energy that we produce. It also produces heat for our kiln, so we're using a waste product that the miners give off to be able to sell one of our products at a premium. So in Guyana, it's about 1% of the existing sawmills dry their timber. Um, so if you are able to dry the timber, you can sell it for a premium because you have better boards, better wood, better quality. So being that we get this great low quality heat from the Bitcoin miners, why not find a way to monetize it? So we have that layer. We're using heat from the Bitcoin miners. Obviously, we're mining Bitcoin, and that'll go onto our balance sheet. We'll be holding Bitcoin, obviously, as a treasury um, reserve asset, and we're also going to uh, accept Bitcoin as payments. We're going to try to get vendors to pay us. We'll pay people, our employees in Bitcoin. Just try to do anything we would have done in a cash business. We try to replicate that on a Bitcoin standard. Everything from the mining to the energy, just utilizing what's available and just taking advantage of everything around us.
That's so cool. That's awesome. So you're just using the heat from the miners, and then I used to do hardwood floors. I did that for about 6 years. My dad ran a hardwood floor business in Colorado for about 32 years. And so I get what you're saying. Like, you have to have like the dried out wood so there's no humidity in it. Otherwise, as soon as you install it, it can, bend and it starts to warp a little bit. So how much I'm pretty oblivious to mining. I know what it is. I know what it does. I understand, basics. So when you're mining Bitcoin for this business, how are you kicking out this heat and heating up wood enough to either send to a customer, or how exactly does that work?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So you plug a miner in, it's taking the electricity and it's creating Bitcoin or mining Bitcoin. So a byproduct of that is the miner with all this electricity, you get the Bitcoin out, but basic thermodynamics, energy is not wasted, it's just transformed. So that electricity comes in, it runs through these chips, and the chips produce a lot of heat. So with the Bitcoin miners, anything you need like low or high quality, low grade heat for, it's a great opportunity. So for us, we can take a Bitcoin miner and you know take some ducts and run it into a box, and now we have a heated kiln that's all it's doing is pushing the air through. We have circulation in the box, and that circulation then dries out the timber.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love the innovation that people have found with Bitcoin mining. You always hear like the basic ones are like oh, I use a Bitcoin miner to heat my home in the winter, and I'm like, well, that's cool, but now I live in Florida, so we don't get winter. But then like heating hot tubs, heating pools. This is the first time I've seen heating wood. That's pretty dang cool. What got
yeah.
you into Bitcoin mining? You said you're pretty technical. You've always kind of liked innovation, technology. So what got you into Bitcoin mining?
Yeah, so it was all just this whole discovery of how Bitcoin worked. When I found out that you could literally, plug these computers in and start creating money, I was instantly hooked. So I saw this, piece of equipment that could, start generating me revenue just by, plugging it in. I was like, this is amazing. It's like, everybody talks about passive income and all this stuff, right? And then there's like this option that you just plug this shoebox in and it literally does this work for you. And you get this currency in return. So at that point I was hooked. So um, I I never got into like I wanted to get like I was very deep into Bitcoin mining on the education part of it, but I never got to like buy the miners or do all the hands-on stuff. So I first got introduced to cloud mining. So I jumped on this cloud mining craze. It was back in during the pandemic, and I was getting like a decent amount of Bitcoin every couple weeks. That's before like all the cloud mining things kind of got scammy and all of that. So I was actually like, I paid a couple $100. I got some hash rate and I started, getting money and I was like, this is incredible. So that's when I started looking into, what the miners were and just really dived in. At that point, I was moving around a lot. I was not broke, but we didn't have a ton of money. So it wasn't, super easy to go out and buy, a couple $1,000 rig and get those plugged in. So I was just kind of spectating for the most part up until the guy started releasing these little bit axes. And then I was like, holy crap, I can get this little single chip miner and learn everything hands on. So that's when I like really got into hands on and playing with miners. Started with the bit axes. I was like, great, I can mess with the firmware. I've got the process down. I can do some diagnostics, and I'm contributing to the network off this little tiny piece of equipment. So that's when I started looking at other opportunities. I started picking up some secondhand miners. I picked up an S9 and ran that in my basement during the winters. I was up in the mid Atlantic, so we got cold winters. So ran an S9 and heated my basement, and then I was like, all right, there's really cool stuff you can do with this, and just started thinking about like things that you could use heat for. Like there's so many applications that we need like this, low grade heat for. Um, I'm in the auto collision industry, so we have these paint booths that they're big boxes that we pump heat into to dry cars after we paint them. And it's like just questioning things like why couldn't we do this with an ASIC miner? Um, why or just all these different options. So yeah, that was what kind of got me into it. BitAxe has really changed the game for me because it was a easy way for me to get entry into hands-on mining, learn about pools and solo mining and just all the everything that goes into the process. And since then, it was just I loved it.
That's so cool. Have you heard of a lot of these countries that are now using Bitcoin mining and they're using the electricity and now like I think it's in Africa or I believe it's in Africa. So yeah, these miners in Africa are like able to basically store energy and allow people in these communities to actually have electricity at nighttime. It's like the first time some of these communities have had electricity at night. And I just think that's like the coolest thing ever. And you hear all the FUD that, like, oh my God, Bitcoin uses so much electricity. And it's like, F off, man. Like, This is so cool. It can literally like save people's lives almost. It can bring electricity to places that, I mean, they wouldn't be able to have it otherwise. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yep.
so how do you think that like Bitcoin mining is going to expand into even more regions like that?
Most definitely. I mean, you look at all like you bring up Africa, and then there's like Bhutan that's doing a lot of hydroelectric mining. You when you go into like these underdeveloped communities and just these very rural places, you can't just go in and build out electricity and build out these grids to for the needs that you have. So if you were to, have a village of 100 people, you can't just go out and build a grid for 100 people. You have to overbuild it. But the problem that comes down with that is if you overbuild the grid and you don't have the demand for the electricity, where it doesn't become like feasible. So no one's able to go in and get these like microgrids set up. So if you can have someone on the other end that's going to instantly, capture all of that electricity and you can then monetize it, it makes sense to go in and build up this infrastructure because you know you have a buyer on the other end. So I think that is like an amazing opportunity. And then you also have there's so much stranded energy everywhere in the world, and if you are able to capture this energy and monetize it, you can you can you know store this energy in Bitcoin and transport it anywhere in the world.
Yeah, when I lived in Houston, I mean, it's like the oil and gas hub of like the United States, you know, and you'd just be driving through some of the fields and in between like Houston and Galveston, where all those refineries are, and there's just like flare gas just popping up everywhere. And the entire time, I was just like, dude, someone could capture that and literally just be mining Bitcoin off of it. Like that's over my head. I would have no idea how to do it. But the fact that people have figured out how to capture that kind of energy and produce Bitcoin from it, I think is just so cool. Like that's so fascinating to me. So where do you get your energy from then?
Yeah, so we're actually so we're pre-launch right now. We're actually getting ready to start site development at the beginning of the year. So the premise of what we're building is going to be powering the business off of renewables. So we're in the jungle in Guyana, and we're on a pretty substantial river. So we have access to a ton of solar. We have access to hydro, and then we're going to be burning biomass and converting that into energy. So all of the scraps from the timber, whether it's sawdust or offcuts, whatever it could be, we can burn that and pretty much pump that into a generator to create electricity. So between the biomass, solar, and hydro, we have these renewable sources, and we're also looking at things like waste oil from restaurants. We could pump waste oil into a diesel generator and produce electricity. And it's keeping that oil out of going into the wrong place, and then it's monetizing another stranded source of energy that otherwise would have just been wasted. And that's kind of one of our goals is finding wasted energy or stranded energy and trying to find a way to capture it and funnel it into the timber company.
That's so cool. Um, how is it easy for, say, someone like me who's non-technical? I've never done Bitcoin mining before. I've wanted to, like, I always enter those little competitions to win my own Bitcoin miner. Can you explain if someone like me, just super simple, could do it, and how we could do it, and then what kind of miner you're looking at? How much about would it cost, and what do you think a return would be, or what kind of benefit could there be for someone who just wants to get into solo mining since you've done it for so long?
Yeah, for sure. Um, so I would say that I mean it's super easy to get into the mining scene. Uh, as simple as picking up a $150 bit axe, a single chip ASIC that get to experience it. It's not going to make you any money really, but it gives you the skills that you'll need to actually run a miner. So I mean, you could go the route of buying a used miner or buying a brand new miner and running it yourself. You have to contend with electricity prices in the US. Electricity has gotten astronomically expensive over the last year. I think I heard someone say it was like running almost like 20 cents a kilowatt. So it's very difficult. You need cheap electricity. Um, Unless you're running really efficient brand new machines, which you can might be able to get away with it. But outside of that, if you don't have the cheap electricity, it's not really worth it. So you have these options. You can host a miner. There's companies like SAS Mining and a ton of options where they pretty much sell you the equipment and they run the equipment for you. They maintain it. They do everything, and you just pretty much collect some revenue when it's paid out. So for someone just wanting to get into it, there's tons of options. It really depends on, do you want to be hands-on, or do you want to kind of just have this as a passive source of income? If you want to go hands-on, then it's just a matter of learning the software, learning the firmware, and how everything operates, and it's off to the races once you set it up. Plug up to a pool if you're going to do pool mining, which is just combining your hash rate with a bunch of other people, and then rewards get split between everyone. Or you go at it alone, and hope that you happen to hit that block. Um, it's tough. It's a solo mine. I mean, the probability, unless you've got really cheap electricity and you can run a ton of miners, or you've got really efficient miners, and um, one way or the other. But it all really comes down to how you'd like to get into it. But I recommend to most folks, like, buy BitAxe. It's you can get a cheap one for $100 and learn everything that you need to actually get into it. And if you like it after you run the BitAxe, then it's probably a good sign to that you're ready to dive deeper into it.
Okay. Is that a miner behind you? Is that
Yeah,
a
so I've actually got two. So this one is an S9. This is one of the original ones. A very inefficient machine, but it puts off some good heat. It takes a lot of electricity to run your bill up pretty substantially, but you get a little bit something back from it, maybe. And then I've got a T17, which is a little bit bigger machine. It's got more hash boards, more chips, a little bit more efficient, puts off a good amount of heat. But unless your energy rate is super low, they're not efficient to run. So, for example, if you had a solar setup and you didn't pay for electricity, then it would make sense, because if you had that extra energy available, why not utilize it if you're not going to pay for it, better than it being wasted or not being used or being sent back to the grid.
Okay. So this is for like purely my own curiosity. So like if I got solar panels put on my roof and that was like, could I hook up a Bitcoin miner kind of almost directly to the solar panels, and it would use that electricity and not my house electricity? So then it would kind of be like I'm just using the sun instead of running up, some bill that's going to be
Exactly.
astronomical.
Yeah, so like an S9 miner needs about 2000 watts. So if you get, a few 450 watt panels, and you get enough of them that you have the energy to put into the miner, then absolutely. I mean, the energy goes from the solar panel into an inverter, and then it's just a matter of plugging it into the outlet.
And then you just sit there and pray that you mine a solo block and you
Yeah,
hit the Bitcoin lottery. I love when I see those, when it's like a solo miner hits some like a full block like Bitcoin. It's like, holy shit, dude, they just got a full Bitcoin. Like that'd be probably the most like the
it's
coolest
pretty
thing.
wild, and it happens often enough, like that it makes you believe that there's really, a good possibility that this could really happen. You just need to have skin in the game. I mean, you don't know, or you won't hit it if you don't have skin in the game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's intimidating because there's so many companies now. I mean, there's public companies that literally are just Bitcoin miners who have uh they've taken investments that are hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have these massive facilities of all Bitcoin miners. And then you have someone like me who's like, yeah, like I want to maybe get into Bitcoin mining, and you get like two little machines, and it's like, dude, the odds of me hitting that like are pretty, I don't know, pretty pretty bad odds,
Slim.
but
Yeah, it's
it
very
sounds
slim
cool.
odds.
No,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
sounds cool.
well, it's going to be tough to compete with these bigger guys. I mean, they've got unlimited capital. The one thing that I find truly amazing is like every chip that's running this algorithm has the same chance of hitting the block. So you could have, that one single chip, and that's why you see these like bit axes hitting blocks. All of them have the same probability. It's just if you have more chips, obviously your chances are better. But I mean, the probability is probably better than winning the lottery on a, lottery minor.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude, that'd be so cool just to win like a full Bitcoin. That I mean, most people I think in the Bitcoin space would almost rather like win either one Bitcoin or multiple Bitcoin than like the little scratch off wins. So
Yeah, I mean, 3.125 Bitcoin plus some transaction fee is that's a hell of a deal.
yeah, no, that's so cool. Um, I wanted to switch up and ask you about nodes. Uh, there's a ton of talk about nodes right now. Who's running what? It's like this little battle online of knots versus core, and now it's like oh, I have Adam back on my side. I have this guy on my side, and it's like, um, so do you run a node? And if you don't mind, I mean, do you care which one you run? Do you have an opinion on it? Anything like that?
Yeah, I think Sailor just said something that stood out to me. There's a lot of infighting right now in the Bitcoin community, Knots versus Core and all of this. I think we have a bigger fight ahead of us that we need to, open discussion is great, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes detrimental to the people or the network, then we probably need to change up our approach. I think there's people are making mistakes on both ends, whether it's the core guys or the knots guys or however that goes. I've been running a node for almost a decade now. I started with a Raspberry Pi running my node, upgraded to I think I ran a Raspberry Pi for a couple years between my node, Umbrel, different software platforms that were available. And I never had any issues with it. I still have my original Raspberry Pi node, which still functions. Hard drive still works, which is pretty amazing because those things usually they die pretty quickly. But I mean, I've been running a node for about a decade, mainly core. I did end up, so I've got actually a few nodes. I've got an old laptop that I run core on. I've got a little mini PC that is running Start 9 OS, and that is also running Core. But then I have a third laptop that's I recently just set up with Knots. I just wanted to have exposure. I think it's too early to know like really what's going to happen. I think we just need to focus on the bigger problems. I think the op return. Um, it's definitely important, but I don't think we should be, putting all this energy and effort uh, into it right now. I think there's bigger things that we could be focusing on. Sailor said something about, we have the biggest fight coming up. We're trying to take down this financial system that is ingrained in everything that we do, and we need the best of everybody pushing for this amazing technology as a whole, and not just fighting with each other on which version of the nodes we want to run. Or so I run both. I don't have anything good or bad to say about either. It's just I mean they both work. I haven't had issues. I've never had issues with core. I don't get it's my hard drive isn't loaded up with spam as far as I know. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, not saying this is a big nothing burger, but I don't think it deserves the attention that it's getting.
Okay, that's fair. Um, yeah, I agree. I think it's like it's almost like a distraction from like what really matters, like the actual Bitcoin ethos. And like you mentioned, Like I do think there's bigger battles coming with Bitcoin. You see things like the digital ID in UK. You see Canada pretty much going like hardcore, like socialist. You see
Yeah.
state now. You're seeing states. I just saw something today about New York issuing like $12,000 to low income families in stable coins or something, and I'm like, yeah, I think we've got some bigger issues to fry over like knots versus core. Like maybe we can put that aside and let's worry about Bitcoin as a whole moving forward, because some things, you know, are not looking the best in some of these countries. Luckily, we do live in Florida and in America, so I'm pretty pretty happy about that. But what do you think about how we're moving forward with like this self sovereignty in Bitcoin and the ethos? Like, what are your opinions on how we can move forward with that? How it's improved your life? How we can spread it?
Yeah. It's really interesting because the more I look into self-sovereignty, the more I find that there are so many options out there, so much cool technology that's being built, um, are on this open source platform. And it's like we we don't have to give up all of our information to use things anymore. It got to a point, like you download an app, you got to give up everything, your blood type, all of this information. And at the end of the day, that stuff gets either leaked or hacked or it ends up in the public. And, most people, their data has been leaked at some point and nobody's doing anything to make that better. So we have to do something, if I care about my data and my privacy. So I'm gonna, start taking steps to, you know, set myself up for a better future. It's tough because, up until I really got deep into Bitcoin, I was signing up for stuff. I was putting all my information out there for whatever it may be. And I don't know how you go and reverse that, but I I take that as a learning opportunity for my family, and it's like, all right, I didn't have these opportunities to keep my privacy and my data. So how do we set my daughter up for that? How do we, give her these options? Um, so it's just so much cool like technology being built. I discovered Meshtastic. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
No.
So before BitChat became like big and popular, Meshtastic was around. It's a mesh network based on long range radio. So you have these little transmitters that you can communicate through text message via radio frequency. So it kind of eliminated all of, the satellites, the cell carriers. Like you don't necessarily need permission to communicate. And then I was like, well, there's probably a whole lot of other stuff that I don't really need your permission to do. I don't need your permission to transact with my neighbor. And that's where Bitcoin fit in. It's like, I don't need your permission to communicate. And then there's options like BitChat and Meshtastic and, Cali's building some really cool stuff. And there's Cashew and, all these open source software like protocols and programs and just helping people to learn more and develop that sovereignty. But until you like start questioning like why we do stuff certain ways, you don't really know that there's another way to do it or there's a way to do it that doesn't involve giving up, your whole life or all of your information or your privacy. So that's kind of what like kicked me off and to the sovereignty part of it. I read The Sovereign Individual and that was a great read. And that's kind of when I started really going down that rabbit hole. But yeah, now I look at, are there open source options for, the programs that I use or services that I use? Uh, and that it just really opened my eyes. Bitcoin was like the starting point, and then communications was an easy next one. Like, why can't I just communicate? Why do I have to put my phone number and my email address and all of this information just to download an app so I can send a message? It didn't seem right, and I was like, well, we're being controlled by our data, and our data is valuable, and somebody's profiting it off of it somewhere. Um, and I'm not getting a cut. I've never seen a check from any of my data. So maybe there's a way that something gets built, like a firewall built on Bitcoin, that you can charge people if they want your data or something. But yeah, just experimenting with these new technologies and finding new ways and better ways to do things that we've always done.
Yeah. No, I agree. That kind of reminded me. So I was talking to my, I don't know if you saw my post. I was talking to my wife's grandparents, and they just called, like, say hello, and they're like, yeah, what is Vince doing? And she was like, oh, he's starting a Bitcoin podcast, and he's been doing it for a little bit now. And they're like, Bitcoin, yeah, we've heard of that. Like, and her grandpa is he's a pretty wealthy guy, and he's pretty smart, and he's like, I've heard of Bitcoin, I've been trying to learn more about it. And he was like, my old business now is like starting to incorporate Bitcoin miners, or whatever they're called, and he was so interested in it. And I was like trying to tell him that, like, it's so cool that Bitcoin, you can be your own bank, and you don't have to worry about a bank shutting down your account or transferring money across borders or anything like that. And he kind of lit up about that. I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. Like, you've never had that before, without like a third party. And I think that's going to be a big part of our self sovereignty moving forward, is being able to control your own wealth, your own money, your own data. And I completely agree with you that, like, you give out your information to every company that you have to sign up for something. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It makes you want to, like, go through and delete all your apps and, like, erase
Yeah.
as much as you can from your history. But when I was talking to him, he's like, "Yeah, well, how do I learn more?" And I was like, "Well, definitely read books." Um, but when you're talking to people about being self sovereign and stuff, how are you orange pilling people?
Yeah, so that's another passion of mine. Just talking about Bitcoin and trying to get people on the boat. Um, so Bitcoin always happens to come up, whether it's just a casual conversation, Bitcoin gets injected somehow. So that's like my go-to is just having casual conversations, asking people if they've heard about it, or sharing an article or a meme, or hey, check this out. So that's usually how it starts. I run a couple of local meetups, so trying to orange pill folks down here in Central Florida. We're up to our fourth meetup coming up this weekend. It's been slow growth. Central Florida is a little bit different. People are spread out. It's not a city, so it's got some challenges. But I found it really, it's a lot easier, I feel like, to approach smaller businesses. So small business is the backbone of America, right? But every small business is paying, minimum 3% on every transaction that gets run with the card. So the backbone of America is hurting, and somebody's profiting, like they're making a killing off of this. So I see an opportunity, ground floor for me is like a reaching out to these businesses. So I've been visiting the local farmers market and just talking to people. Bitcoin.rocks.com or Bitcoin.rocks. They've got some really cool information. Their site's awesome. And one of the things that they have, I've actually got it here. We got these little pamphlets on like why Bitcoin is good for business. So I printed out a bunch of these and I started handing them out to vendors at the farmers market, or stores that I interact with, or I went and got a T-bomb today. I spent $9 on a T-bomb. It was ridiculous. But they're a small business. They have great service. They have a really good product, and it's like, would you guys be interested in, saving a couple percent on card transactions and gaining, a little niche market that is going out of their way to support these businesses? And they were off the bat, interested. We orange pilled two vendors at the farmers market. One of them is he's a Marine vet. He had some really bad injuries, pretty much immobilized. And then he was able to get into this wellness trend and start looking into how things were made. And uh, it kind of, I don't know if you read Fiat Food by Safe. Uh,
I haven't read that one yet.
so it's a great read. And he talks about how like the money is tied into like the quality of our food and quality of life and stuff. So I was listening to this guy tell me a story, and I'm like, you're literally like not word for word, but like replicating like what some of these people are saying. Like the money is so ingrained in everything that we do, and if if the money is broken, then everything else behind it breaks. So listening to a story and just like connecting with this guy, is like asked him like, would you be interested in taking Bitcoin? And he's like, yeah, I've heard about it. I'm curious. And he was on board. We set him up with the wallet, gave him this pamphlet, gave him a Bitcoin accepted hair sticker, and got him set up on BTC Maps. Now he's visible to Bitcoiners, and he's accepting Bitcoin. And he's like, I don't have to pay 3%. The money goes straight to me. There's no middleman. So this is a win-win. The smaller businesses I feel like are ripe for orange pilling. They've been through so much. They've gotten screwed over. Different administrations, whatever they do is just I feel like the small businesses always get what's left and kind of get the worst of it. And now there's this awesome technology that eliminates all these middlemen that are taking those profits, and it goes right back into the business. So all these businesses stand to benefit, and small businesses are run by average people, and I feel like you orange pill the business, the people get orange pilled, and it actually moves a little bit faster than trying to, Joe Schmo off the street and tell them that, study Bitcoin, learn about Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin. It's a little bit harder, but, these businesses are dealing with fiat and they're dealing with the credit card companies, and they see it, they feel it. And when you give them an exit per se, it's like there's a better way to do this, and you don't have to give up your profits. You can keep that. We can transact peer to peer. We don't need a bank. We don't need all these intermediaries that are, telling us what to do or how to transact, when to transact, what we can transact. I think Bitcoin is just going to unleash small business, especially here in America. They have such an opportunity to grow and build.
Yeah. When we're done, will you message me, DM me all those sites and everything that you just talked about so I can put it in
Yeah,
the
most definitely.
description of because um I've definitely tried to orange pill small businesses before, and it's incredibly difficult if you don't have like the right resources at your hand. What if you don't mind me asking, what wallets do you recommend that they use that are convenient? Because the one that I usually tend to go to is like Strike, just because it's pretty easy, it's pretty quick. Which one have you used for orange pilling and recommending to them?
Yeah. So a couple different options. So what I found is a lot of these vendors, especially like the farmers market, they're already using like POSs like Square or Cash App. Like they have Venmo, they have Zelle. Most of them have Cash App. So it's like you already have a wallet per se that you could use. Obviously you'll need a KYC. So Cash App, Strike, you got to go through the whole KYC process. So that's kind of a little bit of a hurdle sometimes. There's other options like Breeze Wallet, which is one that I recommend quite a bit. It's just, you download the wallet, you create a new wallet, you write down your seed phrase, and then you're off to the races. So it's just the the Cash Apps and all of that Strike. It's great because I feel like it's an easy on ramp for some of these vendors, especially if they're already using Cash App and they have experience with these mobile payment platforms. Um, the the wallets definitely helpful. Um, we can go to a vendor and say, "Hey, I can get you set up with the wallet right now. All you have to do is write down these 12 words and secure it, and then you're good to go. I can pay you right now." So yeah, I mean, there's tons of options as far as wallets go. Bitcoin.rocks has a great guide for businesses on wallets and how to set them up and get them going. But yeah, I like the non KYC options like Breeze just because they're you can set them up in an instant and be ready to go and accepting Bitcoin just like that. Cash App is great. Strike is great. I love both companies. They you know they're definitely helping bring adoption at a quicker pace.
Yeah, I feel like the Cash Apps and stuff, it's like a stepping stone. It's like once you learn how to use Cash App Bitcoin, then it's like you can graduate to the next step. Because going from, never heard of a Bitcoin wallet to, wait, I'm going to download this thing and they're just going to send Bitcoin here. Like, are you sure it's secure? Are you sure this works? Like, I don't want to get screwed. I don't want to sell my product and make sure that my money's there. So, no, that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna link all those in the description after this because I'm gonna get some of those pamphlets. We have a massive farmers market. They call it like the green market in West Palm, and they do it like all from like October to maybe like March or something, March, April, maybe. It goes on for months. And it's this massive thing. They take over like this whole Clematis Street if you've ever been down there. And
Yeah, you said you're in Colorado Springs, right?
no, I'm in Jupiter.
Okay, okay. So that's north of Colorado Springs,
No,
right?
no, I'm in Florida now.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no. Yeah, in West Palm, there's this massive Uh,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah. So I'm gonna print out some of those pamphlets. I'm gonna bring it down there and see if I can orange pill. I do remember last time. I think I saw one vendor who accepted Bitcoin last time. So I wonder if I can get a couple more with all those resources. That'd be kind of cool. It's like a fun little project. It's like I came up with the motto for this podcast is all conversations lead back to Bitcoin. And so it's like, it's the same thing. It's like every time you talk to someone, it's like you can always kind of weave your way back to Bitcoin in every conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like I said, everything leads back to Bitcoin. I don't know how, but yeah, it's
fix
got to
fix
do
the
something
money,
with the
fix the
money.
world. Fix
Yeah,
the
I mean
money.
the money's so ingrained in everything, and yeah, it's just there's a better money, and it's I mean it's cliche, but yeah, fix the money, fix the world. It seems really simple, but uh, that whole money journey is another fun one. Once you actually start learning the history and what money is, like that's wild. Um, yeah, another one share this with you. So I picked up these white papers from BitBox.swiss. Typically, the white papers are, just a PDF, but they did a really amazing job of really putting together like a beautiful white paper. When I orange pill these vendors, I give them a copy of the white paper, I stick the pamphlet in it, and I give them a business card and a sticker. And they always love it. They're curious about Bitcoin. Why not give them the white paper and then give them a little pamphlet that explains exactly how they could benefit from it?
That's so cool. And I mean, you don't charge anything for this, right? You just hook them up.
Yeah.
That's so cool. No, I love that. I think more Bitcoiners need to do that. And it'll make your small communities a better place. It will help them. I mean, we all know how Bitcoin has benefited us, and if you're going to run a small business and you're not accepting Bitcoin, like you're going to get left behind because you can't afford to pay 3% fees with inflation, and you're trying to, like, I don't know, keep up with like these big companies that can charge whatever they want, and you're like this small guy trying to produce something even as small as your organic groceries at a farmer's market. Like those people, we always just pay for it because it's extra money out of our pocket. But I always try to support those guys, and if they accept Bitcoin, I'm like, oh hell yeah, I will easily drop 20,000 Sats on some produce, and I'll just repurchase my 20,000 Sats. But now they have it, and if they can at least be orange pilled, um, I think that's phenomenal. Not only on a personal level, makes me feel good, but you're also helping someone else. I think that's awesome what you're doing. So you
Yeah,
are,
it's fun. It's super fun.
yeah. Have you successfully done it to? You said you've done it to like two.
Yeah, we've locked in two vendors. One of them is Valhalla Health and Wellness. They're based out of Central Florida, and the other one is San Miguel Spice Trading Company. Small business. They produce some really cool, spice mixes for steaks and all kinds of stuff, pickle seasoning. But he was actually, it was funny because he told me his whole shitcoin journey. He got into, I think it was Shiba or something. He made a couple grand and bought some Bitcoin, sold some Bitcoin. So it's like a lot of these, small business folks, have either messed with Bitcoin or heard of it and they're curious. Um, Especially, our generation. These guys are starting up businesses, trying to exit the rat race and do what they love. And, Bitcoin just, plugs right in.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. But so we are kind of getting to the top of the hour here. I got to ask you what's next for you. Obviously the lumber business and stuff. When do you think that will be up and running?
Yeah, so the goal is to get on site and start clearing out the land Q1 of next year. We're in pre-launch mode right now. We're getting ready to attempt to raise some funds. We have the land already in Guyana. We've got basic infrastructure. Our next big purchase is going to be buying our first shipping container. We're building out everything in a modular style so we can easily scale and replicate. So yeah, I would say maybe February of next year we'll have a container on site and we'll start some mining. Planning to get our sawmill equipment the end of Q1 and start cutting some timber and drying some wood.
Awesome. No, that sounds super fun. Um, and then are you just accepting that on like your website on your X account or to accept donations or anything like that?
Yeah, so we do actually have a geyser campaign running. We're trying to bootstrap this as best we can right now. We're trying to stay away from, the VC, the private investor side, just because they typically want a bit too much. So, if we can bootstrap it between friends, family, and plebs, then that'd be ideal. But the business has got to get running. My goal is to exit the industry that I'm currently in. It's consuming, all of my time. It's consuming my health and just every aspect of me. So the sooner I can exit and really start building the Bitcoin Timber Company, which is, my passion, I feel like that's just going to be a game changer for us. So we're pushing to finalize things this year and just get everything buttoned up to, yeah, get launched in sometime in the next few months.
Awesome, man. I love that. Before you go though, I gotta ask. I mean, we're in a bull run, dude. This is October 1st. Uh Today was freaking sweet. What timing was that? I woke up and I was like, oh fuck yeah. Like October 1st, October, we've been talking about it for months. And now it's like we just jumped like 3% basically overnight. And I was super pumped. So I got to ask because, once the bull runs over, you don't get to ask these questions. So I feel like it's an obligation to ask, like, where do you think we're going this cycle? Are there cycles? What's your prediction for the next 6, 12 months? You don't have to give numbers or anything if you don't want to, but I've got to ask your opinion about
Yeah, Vince, all I can say is we're going up.
it.
We're going up. You know, the whole cycle thing. I mean, I don't think you can get away from the cycles. I mean, the halving cycles are baked into the algorithm, and it's part of the code. So price cycles and market cycles that can always fluctuate, but the halving is coming whether we plan for it or not. The supply is getting thinner. The rewards are getting cut. Adoption is growing. So yeah, I mean, up and to the right, most definitely. I think I think we're in for, a lot of excitement. The price hasn't even really, been moving. We've been a lot of, up and sideways. Um, I've been through, a few cycles at this point, so I'm just waiting for it to really crack open and, you know, uh, looking forward to, like a 10% move up or down. I'll take it both ways. It's just, it's part of the game. I enjoy dips just as much as the pumps.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a long-term holder, of course you like the dips. I mean, as long as you have cash, as long as you have something on hand to buy, then yeah, the dips are great. But I feel like we've just been holding steady almost for so many months that it's like we want a reward. We want a little something. I want to feel something again. You know, we've only been inching up on these new all-time highs, and I'm like, let's see like the 130, let's see the 140. um I'm ready for that kind of action. I don't know how long it goes if we go into 2026. No one does. I've listened to anyone who has like, like the macro of the macro, like the super smart Bitcoiner people. I've listened to all of them. They all seem to predict that this is going to go into 2026 for a little while, at least 6 to 12 months. So I'm like, hey, if cycles are over, man, I hope you stacked because Bitcoin might be a
Yeah.
lot more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, some of the predictions are pretty wild, and I'm here for it. Uh, I'll take whatever we get. If we go to a million, amazing. If we go to 250K, amazing. Um, as long as more people keep using this technology and we keep building and just really doing some really cool stuff, like I'm for the ride. The journey has been amazing so far.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to leave it right there. That was a great way to end it. I appreciate everyone watching, everyone listening. Please like and subscribe. All the details to the show notes, they'll be in the description down below with everything that Shane recommended here. And we'll catch you guys next time.